BGSU Foundation, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this very important event today on our campus. As the pandemic continues, Bowling Green State University is following all guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control, the State of Ohio, Ohio Department of Health, and Wood County Health Department by holding this event outside and completing our health self-check before coming to campus. Thank you for joining us in person and virtually as we dedicate the Veterans Memorial. Bowling Green State University is proud to honor our students and alumni who have served our great nation in the United States Armed Forces. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the posting of national colors by the Air Force ROTC Color Guard, Detachment 620, and remain standing for the national anthem sung by Annabelle Pollard, a second-year master's student majoring in vocal performance and voice science. She is from Perrysburg, Ohio.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you to the Air Force ROTC Color Guard and Annabelle Pollard for the inspiring start of today's program. The American flag flying today is the flag presented to Colonel Ted Jenkins during the Veterans Memorial groundbreaking on September 5th, 2019. I would like to acknowledge the family of Colonel Jenkins who are with us today. You may all now be seated. I'd also like to recognize BGSU alumni, Falcon Flames, and lead donors to this project, Ed and Linda Ryder. Their generosity has made this memorial a reality. Ed served as a captain in the United States Army Reserves and lieutenant in the United States Army Adjutant General's Corps. Their philanthropic support will have a lasting impact on honoring service at its highest level. Thank you both. I would also like to recognize dedicated leaders and ambassadors of the university who are in attendance. When I call your name, please stand, and I ask the audience to hold your applause until all have been recognized. BGSU Board of Trustees Vice Chair Marilyn Isley, past Board of Trustees Chair Bob Sebo, BGSU Foundation Board Immediate Past Chair Mike Kulin, former Foundation Board Chair David Bryan, and members of the Foundation Board. BGSU President Rodney Rogers, BGSU Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, Dr. Joe Whitehead, and our talented BGSU Planning and Construction Office team, Christy Pfeiffer, Project Manager, and April Smucker, Associate Vice President. Thank you for your work on this project. It's now my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the podium Bowling Green State University Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, Marilyn Isley.
Thank you, Pam. It is truly a pleasure to be here today to dedicate our Veterans Memorial. I am the granddaughter of a World War I vet. I am the daughter-in-law, and niece of 5 World War II veterans. One of my brothers-in-law graduated from West Point and was career Army. Another of my brothers-in-law served over 20 years in the National Guard. Our family celebrates Veterans Day, but we also acknowledge our military every day. To our veterans and active military, thank you for your service. As Vice Chair, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to recognize the commitment of our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and donors, along with our ROTC and Armed Forces partners who help make this memorial what it is. We are so honored to have such a great history and partnership with the Army and Air Force ROTC. Beyond the hundreds of active military and veterans who are connected to Bowling Green State University, we certainly want to remember the 112 names etched into the memorial, those who died in active combat since World War I in 1918. This Veterans Memorial forever showcases our recognition of the selfless commitment and service to our nation. Its location in the heart of Carillon Park is fitting. The thousands of students, faculty, staff, and visitors will be reminded of the university's educational role in the lives of our veterans and ROTC students. This memorial provides an understanding of service in one of its highest forms, and it provides a place of solitude and contemplation for active service members on our Bowling Green campus. The board especially extends our thanks to the donors who supported this memorial and the late Colonel Ted Jenkins. This could not have happened without you. Like many of you, as an alumni, I am extremely humbled and proud of today's dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Isley. It's now my pleasure to welcome the 12th President of Bowling Green State University, Dr. Rodney K. Rogers.
Thank you, Pam. And to each of you, welcome. Thank you for being here today on this beautiful fall day, an important day as we dedicate the Veterans Memorial. I certainly want to thank Vice Chair Isley for being here and representing the Board of Trustees, former Chair Bob Sebo, former trustee and Chair of the Trustees. Over the years, the trustees have been so supportive of the work of this institution to support our veterans, to certainly support our ROTC groups here, both Army and Air Force here at Bowling Green. So, and I also want to make sure to thank all the students, the faculty, the staff, the alumni, the donors, and along with all of these partners that really allowed this to occur. Our capital planning, campus operations, university advancement, our academic affairs, and Barb Henry, Dr. Henry does great work. But there are so many people, and as I look at this audience, I see so many individuals that have played such a key role in this important occasion. And certainly today is about taking a moment to honor and recognize that work. but it's also to remember these individuals and so many others that have given so much for our country. You know, at Bowling Green State University, we often talk about, and our mantra is, we are a public university for the public good. And public good can be defined in so many ways, but it seems to me there's no greater commitment to our public, to the United States, than the service in our armed forces. And so to our cadets and others in our Army and Air Force ROTC, and to all of our students who have served and our veterans that are a part of our community, we thank you for creating public good. So this memorial certainly will forever showcase the sacred duty of the members of our community who are active and veterans of the military. And today would absolutely not be possible without Ed and Linda Ryder and their lead gift that ensured that this memorial came to life. We are so grateful for your support, so thank you. But I also know across this audience and those that may be on the live stream have also contributed and made a gift and a support for this to occur. So to each of our donors, I say thank you. Thank you for making this happen. Above all, certainly it shouldn't be lost on any of us when the reading of the 112 names that are etched on this memorial of active students or veterans, alumni who gave the ultimate sacrifice in active combat to preserve our freedoms. That type of commitment is absolutely unmatched, and each of us owes a great deal of gratitude to these individuals. And today we should also think about retired U.S. Marine Colonel Ted Jenkins. Colonel Jenkins' names have been brought up a few times, and I can remember we were a little bit further down the quad, but where we did the groundbreaking for this memorial, and Ted would be so excited. He passed shortly after the groundbreaking, but this was a vision that he had to make sure that when the students, future students of this institution, when they walk through this part of campus, they will always be reminded of these 112 names, but there may be additional names in the future that are needed. But to remember the veterans that have served at from this institution, have served in our military. He certainly was one of the catalysts for this memorial. So this memorial is a place of reverence. It's a reminder that our work in shaping our country, our union, our goal to create a more perfect union, at times requires great loss. However, it also provides a space to understand that this unwavering sacrifice will never be forgotten. As president of Bowling Green State University, on behalf of all of our alumni, our faculty, and our staff, it is an absolute honor to be with you today to dedicate this memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rogers. I would now like to introduce 1970 graduate, Vietnam veteran, and a member of the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame, David Ridenour, who, along with Colonel Ted Jenkins and Dr. Dave Chilson, initiated the Veterans Memorial Project. Mr. Ridenour.
Thank you, Vice President Conklin. Today, we are dedicating this memorial in honor of students, graduates, faculty, and staff who have served our country in the uniformed services of our nation. I am very grateful for the passion, vision, and friendship of fellow alumni, Dr. David Chilson, Captain, U.S. Navy, retired, and Ted Jenkins, Colonel, U.S. Marine Corps, retired, whose vision we see before us today. This is a beautiful and fitting location for our Veterans Memorial. These are hallowed grounds where the footsteps of many of these men have fallen. During World War II, Cole Hall was the home of Navy and Marine Corps students training as aviators and officers. After World War II, the old football stadium was a dormitory for returning veterans, which included Ted Jenkins. Some of our fallen were members of the Falcon football teams that played on this field. Many of the fallen were Army and Air Force ROTC graduates who studied in Memorial Hall. I would like to share some compelling stories of just a few of our alumni. All have served our country. All have a unique story of service and sacrifice. Their time on campus was very familiar to all of us. Membership in clubs, athletics, honorary societies, and fraternities. The first name on the memorial is Paul C. Ladd, seriously wounded in the Battle of the Argonne Forest and died in September of 1918. There's a second Paul Ladd on this memorial. First Lieutenant Paul R. Ladd, a nephew who graduated in 1941. He went missing in November of 1943. Lieutenant J.G. Stanley Fisher, class of 36, and the world archery champion at the 1940 New York World's Fair, was lost when his ship, the USS Emmons, was sunk off Okinawa. Chief Warrant Officer William Ruth served in Vietnam as a Marine Corps helicopter pilot. He had a 30-year career as an educator while continuing to serve in the Army Reserve, including in the Persian Gulf. Ruth retired from teaching and took an Army job at the Pentagon. He was killed in the terrorist attack on September 11, 2001. I could spend hours telling the stories of these fallen heroes, but I will conclude with paraphrasing a quote from General George Patton. "It is foolish and wrong to mourn those who died. Rather, we should thank God such people lived." Thank you.
Thank you, David, for speaking on behalf of your colleagues, such heartfelt comments, and your deep support of BGSU. It is my pleasure to introduce Cadet Jewel Johnson from Cleveland, Ohio, who is a senior at BGSU majoring in criminal justice. She is a 4-year member of the Army ROTC program and a leader in the Pershing Rifles Club. She plans to commission as an officer in the United States Army this coming May when she graduates. Cadet Johnson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be able to represent BGSU's Army ROTC program and have the opportunity to speak in front of you all today. When this project was first under construction, not many of us knew what it was soon to become. When we heard it was going to be a Veterans Memorial, I can say that we all felt touched that we would have such an amazing dedication so close to our building. Many of the cadets here have family members who are veterans and feel grateful that they now have something to look at that will remind them of those in their families who have served. It is those veterans and their families who inspired them to join the military. I have 5 veterans in my family who have all played a huge role in motivating me to become a future military officer. 2 of those being female, and they were my main encouragement to demonstrate just how capable women are of absolutely anything, especially in the military. We all have so much to learn from those who have served, because in the military, you learn many life lessons and attributes, including respect, discipline, and camaraderie. These are all important qualities that any person should strive for, no matter the age or occupation. It is so important that we continue to show our support for our veterans because they have sacrificed so much and they fully deserve this tribute. This memorial is a representation of our reverence for those who have served and a way to show our pride for our armed forces. From now on, as we walk into our building, we will be reminded of the legacy of those before us who courageously served the U.S. Thank you.
We now call your attention to the 5 pillars positioned opposite the flagpole. Each pillar represents one of the branches of the United States Armed Forces: Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Let us remember the United States Army. Let us remember the United States Navy. Let us remember the United States Marine Corps. Let us remember the United States Air Force. Let us remember the United States Coast Guard. We thank the cadets from the BGSU Army ROTC Fighting Falcon Battalion, BGSU Air Force ROTC Detachment 620. David Rice, veteran, Ohio National Guard, and the Assistant Director, Office of Non-Traditional and Military Student Services, will read the names of BGSU's fallen heroes etched in the stone pillars. When he concludes reading the names, please rise for taps, played by Sarah Deckard, a fourth-year music education major from Newark, Ohio.
Paul C. Ladd, Army. Theodore Demke, Jr., Army Air Corps. Thaddeus Kalaj, Merchant Marine. Len Rice, Jr., Army Air Forces. Harold Heinbaugh, Army Air Forces. Albert Williams, Jr., Army Air Forces. Thomas Glovna, Navy. Doris Brandon, Army Air Corps. Andrew Sarek, Jr., Army. Gerald McDowell, Navy. Albert Stouffer, Army Air Forces. Kenneth Scholl, Army Air Forces. Paul Ardlad, Army Air Forces. Gordon Eskelsen, Army Air Forces. Reuben Goranson, Navy. Philip Stuckey, Army Air Forces. Lester Powell, Army. George Smithers, Marine Corps. Harry Sample Jr., Army Air Forces. Theodore Brown Jr., Army. Robert Might, Army Air Forces. Gaylord Groff, Army Air Corps. Irvin Morrison, Army Air Corps. Clyde Yates, Marine Corps. William Davis, Navy. James Collins, Army. Harold Long, Army. Jack Flower, Army Air Corps. John Curtis, Army Air Forces. Walter Schamberger, Army Air Forces. Glenn Whitaker, Army Air Forces. Harold Haas, Marine Corps. Ivan Miklich, Army. Edgar Huffman, Army Air Corps. Andrew Glenn, Marine Corps. Donald Brill, Army. Robert Wall, Navy. George Burkholder, Army. Robert Benson, Army. William Kiggins, Army Air Forces. Robert Eckert, Army. Frederick Sheridan, Army. Frank Hinsbaugh III, Army Air Forces. Ambrose Gray, Army. George Hickman, Army Air Forces. Calvin Lyons, Army Air Corps. Joseph Worley, Army Air Forces. Clore Hefner, Army. James Sullivan, Army. William Gill, Army. George Bishop, Army Air Corps. Jerry Carter, Army. Paul Myron, Army. William Qualman, Army. James Falls, Army. Robert Berardi, Army. Edmund Leach, Marine Corps. Donald Hendricks, Marine Corps. Willard Byrd, Navy. Dale Thompson, Army Air Forces. Stanley Fisher, Navy. William O'Shaughnessy, Army Air Forces. William King, Army. William Buchanan, Marine Corps. Winston Park, Army Air Forces. Kelvin Missamore, Marine Corps. Walter Roper, Army Air Forces. Richard Biller, Army Air Forces. Doyle Byall, Army Air Forces. Richard Collins, Army Air Corps. Carl Jones, Marine Corps. Charles Hamlin, Marine Corps. James Dreyer, Army. David Green, Marine Corps. Peter Durakis, Air Force. Joseph DeHaven, Marine Corps. Albert J. Jr., Army. Richard Gesseman, Marine Corps. Robert Dimmick, Air Force. Carl Seidel, Air Force. Dale Haven, Air Force. Edward McCann, Air Force. John Vaughn, Army. Steve Mylant, Marine Corps. James Savaki, Navy. Paul Stram, Air Force. Timothy Schoenauer, Marine Corps. William Ryrick, Marine Corps. Daniel Pucci, Marine Corps. Stephen Shaner, Army. Stephen Young, Army. Robert Somebody, Army. Dwayne Burdett, Air Force. Gerald Hull, Air Force. Clyde Enderley, Air Force. Douglas Mabey, Army. Philip Donnelly, Air Force. Charles Jones, Army. Raymond Bennett, Marine Corps. Roger Bankfeld, Air Force. Terry Moore, Air Force. Gordon Essinger, Air Force. Richard Robinson Jr., Air Force. Judd Herman, Army. William Ruth, Army. Kevin Sonnenberg, Air Force. David Mitchell, Air Force. Michael Metters Jr., Army. Jason Burkholder, Army. Thomas Belkoffer, Army. Sean Hannon, Army. Jonathan Weinkoop, Army.
That concludes the formal portion of our dedication today. I hope you will join us all to the side of the tent, enjoy some refreshments, and celebrate this very meaningful day. Thank you all.